So let's jump right in with Starr's point about Tiffany Meek's brother. She mentioned trauma in his eyes, right? But then this really haunting detail. She said, he didn't blink once. I see him reliving the death of the boy. From an intuitive standpoint, what kind of weight does an observation like that carry?
Oh, it's incredibly potent. That unblinking stare she described. I mean, on one level, sure, it could just be shock, maybe intense grief, but Starr reads it as something deeper, more like the fixed gaze of someone who's seen, or maybe even been involved in, a traumatic death. It makes you consider how these nonverbal cues, especially under extreme stress, might tell a story. A story that, standard questioning might just miss entirely. It suggests a huge burden he could be carrying.
Right, a burden. Okay, so moving from the brother, Starr also focused on Tiffany's mother, the child's grandmother. Starr felt there was, quote, something off about her. What exactly does she mean by off?
Well, she draws a really careful line there. It's subtle but important. She clarifies, I'm not saying she did it, but, and this is the key part, she knows what happened. So it points towards holding knowledge, maybe a secret, rather than actually doing something herself. For someone like Starr, reading intuitively, this knowing could be about, well, trauma that hasn't been dealt with, or maybe the truth about who was involved. Her silence, in Starr's view, could actually be crucial. It kind of points towards the maternal side of the family for answers.
Okay, now this next bit adds a really unexpected layer. In that street talk chat, Kandis Starr brought up an uncle. And she even said something like, I didn't even know Jaden had an uncle, which is interesting in itself. Yet she claimed that Spirit, her source, told her Tiffany's mother knows who this uncle is. Yeah, Tiffany knows too. What's the significance of this, unknown family member suddenly popping up?
Yeah, the appearance of this mystery uncle is a real twist, isn't it? Especially, like you said, because Starr herself wasn't initially aware he even existed. It immediately makes you wonder about hidden connections, right? Maybe key people whose roles haven't really been looked at. Starr even floated the idea, could this uncle actually be Tiffany's brother? Which, if true, would make the family web even more tangled. It opens up possibilities no one was considering before.
And then this uncle, he gets linked, along with Tiffany's brother, to this idea of security guards. What is Starr suggesting when she talks about these individuals possibly shielding family secrets?
When Starr uses the term security guards, it sounds like she's implying a deliberate effort, something powerful, like maybe people trying to control the story or hide certain facts. It suggests there might be individuals, maybe with some kind of influence, legal or maybe financial, who are actively protecting certain family members, or maybe just suppressing information. So it takes the idea of hidden truths beyond just personal secrets, It hints at something more coordinated, like an effort to manage what everyone, including investigators, gets to know. Paints a picture of a family possibly connected to people who can really control the narrative.
Yet, despite all these really dark, unsettling observations, Kandis Starr seems very clear about her own motivation in this. It doesn't sound like it's personal for her or about getting attention. She said she wants justice.
Exactly. There's a statement she made that really stands out. I don't want to be right about this. She follows it with, I just want that baby to have justice, proper justice. It really emphasizes that her focus, or at least what she states her focus is on finding the truth for the child, the one who can't speak anymore, not about proving herself right or wrong. And that commitment, that stated goal of justice, no matter how uncomfortable the findings are, is pretty central to understanding her perspective, I think.
A few moments later.
My whole thing is, I read energy. Now, all the people in South Africa that put me in the newspapers and all that stuff, they call me psychic. Kandis Starr, the psychic. I'm not a psychic. I hate that word. I hate the word medium. It sounds fake. And what I do is not fake, okay? I told you it was somebody close to the family, okay? I know that. I felt it. I don't appreciate being called a liar. I do not get paid for this. A view don't help me.
Yeah, and the air is just thick with accusations against her. You're hearing things like, you said the mother wasn't involved, you lied, even you're a fake psychic. It's pretty relentless criticism.
It really is.
She starts her statement. It's striking how calm she sounds at first, like, hey babes, hello, hello, hello. Very gentle.
Almost disarming, yeah.
But underneath that, you can feel this, powerful resolve building up. She's definitely confronting these accusations head on.
Not softly either. There's a real sharpness there. And right from the get-go, she's pushing back hard against the labels people are throwing at her.
Okay, let's unpack this. She's pushing back hard against labels.
Absolutely. What's fascinating here is how she immediately sort of redefines the terms of engagement. She's basically saying, look, you're using the wrong rule book for me.
Yeah.
She makes it incredibly clear. She never called herself a psychic, never called herself a medium. She insists those labels,
Yeah.
they feel like shackles to her.
So what does she say she does?
Her definitive statement is, quite simply, I read energy.
Okay. And she's pretty specific about what energy means to her, right? It's not stories.
No, not stories people tell, not timelines, certainly not some, filtered PR spin.
Right. For her, it's this raw, unfiltered energy, and she insists quite forcefully that that doesn't lie.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
Because she suggests even a performance has its own energetic signature.
Exactly. It's a different kind of truth than a direct lie, maybe, but still a form of manipulation you can potentially read. It's a very distinct framework she's asking us to consider.
Yeah, it really is.
And, this brings us to a really critical moment in the case itself. When Kandis first sort of tuned into the mother's aura, which in her way of thinking is like an energetic fingerprint,
Okay.
she didn't sense chaos or obvious guilt. She describes perceiving innocence, or at least the performance of it.
Right, and here's where it gets really interesting. This idea of believing a performance of innocence is such a critical point.
It is.
She explains that, the mother projected this energy of being uninvolved. And Kandis, she says, driven by empathy, maybe a belief in redemption. She chose to lean into that.
She chose to believe it.
Yeah. And that specific choice, that gut decision based on the energy she read then, is precisely why she's being dragged now, as she puts it.
Which raises this important question, doesn't it? What does it mean to be guided by a spiritual compass? Her term for this intuitive sense when you're confronted with, deception, maybe very clever deception. And she addresses her accusers so directly, she says, no, correct yourself, please.
It sounds defensive, but maybe it's more.
She frames it as a demand for precision. Stop twisting my words from back then when I was also navigating this based on what I perceived at that time. She's saying she was deceived too.
Okay, so her understanding has clearly shifted. It's deepened since that initial reading. What's her energy reading telling her now as more layers have come out?
Well, now she's very direct. She flatly asserts there are drugs involved. Absolutely. No hesitation there.
Okay. Drugs involved?
And she goes further. She believes what happened wasn't just a solo act. She feels there were shadows of other men looming in the background.
Other men? Like who?
She specifically mentions a boyfriend, maybe a dealer. She says someone else. It's plural, possibly.
Wow.
And her conclusion now is pretty stark. She says the torture Jaden Lee endured was systemic, layered, vicious.
So what does this all mean? Her energy reading has evolved as new layers have surfaced. It's not just about changing her mind, it's about the energy itself revealing more complexity over time.
That seems to be her perspective, yes. Yeah. Connecting these sort of energetic threads to the grim realities of the case.
And she also talks about her motivation, right? Because people must be asking why she's even doing this, especially with all the backlash.
Oh, definitely. She makes it crystal clear she's not paid for this. No brand deals, no donations for this kind of work.
She says it outright.
Yeah, quote, "You don't pay my bills. You don't help me take care of my child." It's very blunt.
It is blunt. It makes you really think about the personal cost she's taking on. What drives someone through that kind of public storm?
She frames her gift, as she calls it, as a burden. Something she feels compelled to use for something important, something that matters. And for her, that seems to be justice.
Justice.
But what she says stings her the most isn't just disagreement. It's being called a liar. Especially, she notes, by people who used to follow her, who praised her insights.
Until this reading didn't match their own feelings, perhaps.
Exactly, until it didn't align with their grief or their rage about the case. That seems to be the turning point for some.
She also brings up this really unique idea of witchcraft, but not in the way most people think about it.
Right, it's not candles and spells in her definition. For her, witchcraft is more like deceptive energy.
Deceptive energy. How does she explain that?
She talks about people being so hell-bent on projecting innocence or hate that they actually sort of manipulate the energetic space around them.
Huh. So it's almost like a psychological manipulation, but framed in energetic terms.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yeah, she's describing a form of energetic manipulation, which is a powerful concept when you think about human interaction, about intent versus action, like people wearing energetic costumes.
Yeah, that's a fascinating way to put it. And does she acknowledge the initial reading might have been well, off or misinterpreted.
She does. She admits, yes, she should have maybe dug deeper then, questioned more, waded through that energy instead of taking it at face value, is how she describes it.
Okay, so she takes some responsibility there.
She does, but, and this is crucial, she absolutely refuses to accept that this means she's a fraud. Her position is clear. She was deceived.
Meaning she, Kandis, was deceived by the energy she read.
Yes, and she argues that being deceived doesn't make her wrong or a liar. It just makes the source, the person projecting that energy, very cunning.
It's a reminder, I suppose, that even if you believe in intuition or energy reading, it's still interpreted through a human lens, which can be fallible, especially against clever deception.
Precisely. She even links it back to her own personal trauma.
Oh, really? How so?
She says her experiences taught her to give people the benefit of the doubt, to believe they deserve a chance to be heard without immediate judgment.
An empathetic approach.
Yeah, but she recognizes that in this specific case, that very instinct, that empathy, came at a huge cost. It led her down a path based on that initial, perhaps deceptive energy.
She's really asking us to consider the nuance, isn't she? It's not just black and white, guilty or innocent, right or wrong from the start. There are layers.
Definitely layers. And speaking of nuance, she also mentioned a shift in her language, using masculine and feminine energy instead of male and female.
Ah, yes. Why that change?
Her reasoning is that energy, for her, isn't restricted by biological gender. It's about the essence, the frequencies people emit.
So a woman could emit what she reads as masculine energy and vice versa.
Exactly. It's about the quality of the energy, not the person's physical sex, which, again, reframes how you might think about energetic expression.
Let's talk about the impact. This video response, it got a lot of views, right?
Huge numbers, over 295,000 views. But she emphasizes it earned her nothing.
Nothing financially.
No paycheck, no YouTube monetization, no sponsorships came out of it. Just, as she puts it, criticism. And this wave of both venom and love, equal parts applause and slander, apparently.
Wow, that's intense. A real whirlwind.
What stands out to you here, though, is her dedication. Despite all that, despite the cost.
She's still there.
She says, I'm still here. Her purpose, she insists, it's not about clout, it's about justice.
And she has a challenge for the listener, for you watching or listening to her.
Yeah, she asks you directly to try and see beyond your rage, beyond your grief, to look for the layers, the nuance, the spiritual echoes behind physical actions.
She's not pretending she has all the answers or offering easy closure.
Not at all. It feels more like she's offering a glimpse into this energetic world that she believes exists, a world she thinks most of us are maybe too cynical or scared to really look at.
And she ends with a pretty stark warning, doesn't she? To the people calling her a liar.
She does. She says, you're trying to do witchcraft against me. Using her definition of witchcraft, that deceptive energy.
Yeah.
And now, she warns, karma has to get involved when she really didn't have to. It's invoking this idea of cosmic consequence for what she sees as energetic attacks against her.
Because in her view,
energy never dies. It returns. That's a core belief for her.
And that her final words aren't angry. They're quite deliberate.
Yeah, almost circling back to that initial gentle tone, but with weight behind it now. You just happen to stumble upon my page. I love you, babes.
Yeah, that's what makes her so compelling, and you said it earlier, so polarizing. She seems able to call out darkness, but still offer light in her own way.
Right, she can be attacked, viciously attacked, and still end with I care, or I love you, babes.
She's walking this incredibly fine line between, clarity and chaos.
Yeah.
And just refuses to be pushed off it.
It really does feel less like just a response and more like a manifesto.
A firestorm wrapped in velvet. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So we've taken this journey through Kandis Starr's world, from those intense public accusations through her quite unique definition of energy reading.
Her evolving insights into this truly tragic case, and her steadfast commitment to what she sees as justice, despite this huge personal cost.
So the question we leave you with is this. In an age where we have so much information, maybe too much, and judgments are made instantly, what does it really mean to discern true intent from performance? And how might trying to understand this energetic world that Kandis Starr describes, how might that challenge your own perceptions, your ideas about truth, about deception, and maybe about the hidden forces that could be at play when we try to make sense of really complex human situations?
Something to definitely think about.